Hey everyone, and welcome to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. We have a special guest and a special announcement and a special new motherboard today. It's the launch of X99. We have the ASUS X99 Deluxe motherboard here, which is fantastic. And of course, we have JJ here in the studio. How's it going, JJ?
I'm doing good, boss, and hello, everybody.
Excellent. We traditionally have JJ come by whenever we have a new motherboard launch to share information about the motherboards. And I know this is one that a lot of folks are going to be very interested in.
I definitely agree with that.
If you guys don't mind, I'm going to quickly try to run down some of the base level stuff here that you get with X99 and with Haswell E.
Yeah, entirely new chipset, entirely new CPU, entirely new memory platform. I think so. I think that's definitely a good thing to go over.
Very exciting for enthusiasts. And then JJ is going to tell us all of the special design work and unique elements that ASUS has brought into this board. So just to give you guys a rundown for starters, the socket that we're dealing with here is 2011-3. Important to bear in mind that this is not backwards compatible at all with socket 2011, previous generation X79 boards. The chipset down here is X99, and then the memory that is being used is DDR4, again, not backwards compatible with DDR3. So you're going to need to make an initial investment to get into this new platform, but the performance that you're going to get is quite fantastic. So for instance, the 3 CPUs that are available from Intel on Haswell E are going to have either 28 lanes for the entry-level one or 40 lanes of PCI Express Gen 3 communication between the CPU as well as the PCI Express slots or anything else that ASUS might want to wire into that. X99 is going to give you natively 10 serial ATA revision 3 6 gigabits per second ports, so that's up from 6 ports with X79, and also they're all SATA Rev 3 now too.
Well, 2 ports on X79, 6 ports on Z97.
Okay, yeah. See, it's been so long since we had enthusiasts, so just to get that in there. And then we also have native USB 3.0 support as well, and I believe 6 ports available there. So if you guys are enthusiast platform lovers and you've been on X79 and you're looking for some of the kind of special treatment that the mainstream has been getting in the past few years, then this is really a good way to bring yourself up to speed.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of actually kind of looking at it, is that historically, if you've kind of felt that the current highest end chipset hasn't necessarily been the highest end in every respect, this is a full equalizer. So across the board, you're going to get a platform that has more cores, more cache, more lanes, and as far as connectivity, will be the most complete connectivity solution that's available of any current consumer-based chipset. So it is truly flagship in every respect. You're not going to get a higher performing, higher configuration-based platform than this right now. And
then one of the things I like to be pointing out to people is that while this is an excellent platform for gaming, it's designed more so with the enthusiast content creation, workstation type things in mind. So ASUS, of course, has a full line of Z97 motherboards as well. If you guys are interested in something that's a little bit more cost effective, but if you want the best of the best, this is what you should go with. Now, with that kind of introduction here, I know apart from this stuff that kind of comes natively with the chipset, natively with the new socket and the DDR4 and everything, ASUS likes to add their own flavor, so to speak, their own set of extras that you might not get with every motherboard that's available in this series. So let's just start off with maybe what's the #1 thing in your mind, JJ, as far as what you guys have done with this new X99 Deluxe?
You know, with the Deluxe, really kind of, it's always, I think, our biggest foot forward that we try to put in terms of the board's design to really try to align with just about all usage models that enthusiasts are looking for. So kind of getting back to a little bit what you said, whether you're going to be a high-end gamer, whether you're going to be a content creator, you're focusing general productivity, whatever the usage model might be, we're going to try to complement that. And I think that the Deluxe, in 2 key categories, really kind of shows its prowess. One is going to be in the level of control and flexibility and granularity at how you can define your cooling experience through the Fan Expert 3, not only software and firmware, but on the hardware implementation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, as well as, of course, on the overclocking side. You know, we've continued to make some really awesome progressions in our auto overclocking technology. It's part of the 5-way optimization, and I think that continues to be a focus for our mainstream series as a whole, not just the Deluxe, but even for like our Pro or Dash A SKUs, that 5-way optimization and the auto overclocking, the fan calibration, the turbo application profiling, and a lot more. I think for me, those are kind of the biggest points on this board. But I think for users out there, just in general, when they look at this board, they're going to find, I think, a little bit of everything. In every single area that I think that we've designed and developed the board, we've made improvements to give you a better experience. So Yeah, I think all the way around, you're going to get truly an awesome board. I mean, and aesthetically also, we've made some really big changes from the previous generation, which I think a lot of you guys are really going to like as well.
I have to agree there too. The black and white color scheme means that if you're going for a specific color scheme in your system, if you're building something like we got over here in the Corsair 760T, and you want it to look beautiful as well as perform to your expectations, then black and white, I feel like you really can't go wrong with that. And if you want to add other colors, by all means, go for that. But let's get back to the, I really like the 5-way optimization. So this is something that's available, if I'm not mistaken, in the mainstream series of boards from ASUS, and also available on the workstation.
Yes, it is also available on the workstation.
And this is something that you guys have designed so that even if you're coming at this platform without a whole lot of prior experience working with computers or doing DIY type of stuff, you can run this and get your system set up how you want it, or to optimize a lot of those settings that you might not necessarily know right off the bat. So could we just run down the 5-way really quick from point to point and kind of explain what each one does?
You've got, first is going to be the TPU section, so that's going to be generally the auto overclocking portion. So this generation, of course, Intel has enabled 3 CPUs that are all fully unlocked, so that means they're all overclockable. The range of frequencies is actually pretty robust when you consider that the highest end CPU, the X part, is going to be an 8-core, 16-thread monster. It's a powerhouse of a CPU, and pretty much every CPU is going to at least be hitting 4 gigahertz, and the best CPUs are going to be somewhere between probably about 4.4 to 4.6, and the absolute extraordinary CPUs are going to be even a little bit faster than that. But for the majority users, they're going to be somewhere in that target range. And the great thing with the auto overclocking technology is it's CPU specific, it's cooling specific, it's power supply specific, it's memory specific. So all you need to do is just get the board set up, get everything installed, go into the application, click a button, it's going to dynamically auto overclock to whatever the margin is that you have within your CPU part.
This isn't necessarily just you guys have kind of set in a bunch of dividers in there and it just plugs in one of them. It's actually going through, running a test each time, restarting the system, and pushing up your overclock, and like you said, unique and specific to the system that you've set up, not necessarily just a set of presets that are built into the motherboard.
And that's the big difference, because with the preset, you run into the reality that it doesn't account for the wide variance that you have. Even outside of CPU variance, you have voltage variance. Some CPUs will run 4.2 at 1.2 volts, and some might need 1.3, and some might need 1.4. And that's the great thing. This generation, we've offered just an extensive level of granularity and control at how you can define the auto-tuning experience. You can define your voltage, you can define the target frequency that you want to pursue, you can define the target temperature that you want to pursue. We've incorporated dynamic, multi-threaded memory stress testing that can simultaneously occur when you stress test the CPU. We've even added conditional AVX instruction set loading for you guys that really want to hammer the CPU and you really want to get that best case scenario. It'll bring down the overclock, and it might not be realistic to normal day in and day out usage, but if you're a content creator while you're also gaming, that's going to be important because many content creation applications use AVX. So I think just what we've put in there is just very, very impressive. Now, even beyond that, though, like always, we've done a lot on the hardware topology side. There's been tweaks and layout, let's say optimizations that we've made, as well as a lot of improvements in the firmware that are also going to give you, especially on our boards, significantly improved ability to have better DRAM divider support and reach much higher frequencies than competitor solutions, as well as also the ring bus, or the cache ratio, is going to be able to be overclocked significantly higher than other platforms. And with this platform, especially with being DDR4, having such high core counts, the ring bus plays an important part in terms of total system efficiency. So all the way around, whether you're going to go manual or whether you're going to go auto overclocking route, you're going to get great OC experience. And I think that also then brings us to the top portion of the board. Historically, when we take a look at our boards, a lot of people wonder about what's the type of improvements that we make there. And we have always taken power delivery seriously. As you know, now multiple generations we focus on high quality design, and the board from top to bottom, it's packed in. We've got the 10K capacitors, we've got these really nice high performance inductors that they're at the top. You can see that they actually even got finned. The top layer is actually finned for improved thermal characteristics. These are actually the entire phase arrays up to 70 amps per each actually inductor array, so it's very, very high performance, very thermal efficient in terms of the total design. This heatsink is actually extremely large. It goes over the entire VRM section and then extends in with a heat pipe that actually then goes into another heatsink that is covered by the actual shroud, which you can see a little bit of it down here. below, but you've got tons of just surface area to help to ensure that even if you're heavily overclocking the system, you've got outstanding thermal efficiency and thermal stability from not only the components, but the cooling solution that we have on board there.
And I like how it brings some of the heat over here near the back and kind of helps
and you can just exhaust that out from the back of your chassis.
Out of the case. That's excellent. And so that combined with the AI suite and the auto-tuning feature for overclocking, I mean, if you got a K-SKU processor already, which you already have, and all these are enthusiast processors, so you're going to be getting an aftermarket cooler as well.
Right.
So it's almost like you're giving up some performance if you don't go ahead and click that 5-way
Yeah, I mean, you
button.
might as well just kind of take advantage of it. But, you know, we've also continued to incorporate really simplified one-touch solutions. So, you know, we've got our TPU switch here that's on the board down at the bottom, as well as, of course, in the operating system or in the UEFI, you could use like our fast presets. So for users that don't even want to run the fairly quick and very advanced you know, system-specific, CPU-specific auto overclocking, you can just flip on that one-touch button and then just get a very easy, you know, a single-touch overclock. So we try to complement all the type of users that are out there, regardless of where you're at on your comfort level. You can unlock better performance. And speaking on performance, of course, you've got DDR4. You can see that we've got these awesome Corsair DIMMs on here. These are extremely high speed. You know, in our testing, we've actually found very, very high frequencies that we've been able to achieve with Corsair DIMMs, and actually with a wide range of DIMMs, but we've recently actually validated over DDR3 3000. Actually on the Deluxe, it's actually even gotten up to 3200.
Nice.
So this is very interesting because if you look at the platform, you know, DDR3 when it originally advent, it had to scale all the way up to the point of right now we have DIMMs that get to 3000 or 3200 speeds, and they're very, very rare. The memory controllers can't necessarily reach that on a wide amount of CPUs. DDR4 on the onset is going to have memory that's going to start off from 2133 all the way up to 3000 at the launch. So it just goes to show you the legs that this platform has in terms of memory right off at the bat.
And you're saying we're probably going to see beyond that, like 4000 and upwards potentially in the future?
Oh yeah, easily, along with, of course, significantly higher densities. At the launch, you're going to predominantly see 16 to about 64 gigs, but you guys will very shortly see 128 gigabytes and then even larger over time. So we're just getting started when it comes to the memory on this platform.
That's exciting. And just to round out the DDR4 discussion, JJ, this is something unique, not necessarily to this board, but to ASUS. You guys have validated more memory, if I'm not mistaken, than just about anyone else out there. So if you want to make sure that you can get the board and also get a kit that works, just for right now, how much are you guys actually up to?
Well, right now we've actually validated with every partner that actually is producing DDR4 at launch. So there's not a memory kit that we actually haven't validated. So you can feel very confident that you're going to get the best interoperability and compatibility. But as more kits come available to the market and partners like Corsair continue to even produce higher frequencies and higher densities, we're going to be there at that forefront. I mean, if you were to go download it yourself, go download X79. You can get it. It's a public file. It's an Excel file you can get from Intel's website on XMP. You can see that we have, compared to the lowest competitor, which is around like 66 modules, we've got, I believe, over 220 modules, so it's an exponential increase in the amount of memory that we have done. And even our closest competitor is still, I think, only about like 160. So we put a lot of work into that to make sure that whenever you're going to buy the board, you're just going to get the best experience.
And you know what, I'm going off on a slight tangent here, but because you guys had such a nice run with X79, another point I wanted to bring up, we've had X79 motherboards around for like almost 4 years now.
Yeah, end of 2011. It's been quite some time.
And one thing I really like going is seeing, say, for instance, the Rampage 4 formula that we use for benchmarking over there, X79 board. I like going back and looking at the BIOS revisions.
Yeah.
Because that is another thing I like to point out with ASUS, is even years after these boards are gone, and in particular with the Enthusiast platform, ASUS is still going back, making tweaks and changes to the BIOS or the UEFI, making sure that you have as much compatibility as possible, and also as, say, for instance, other CPU SKUs launch down the road, making sure everything's...
Yeah, no, you make a really good point with that. You know, it's a huge amount of time and effort to be able to do that, but it really benefits you as a user when you go into adopting the platform, especially when you start early on the platform, because right now we're only getting, you know, 64 gigabyte kits. What happens later when the 128 gigabyte kits come in, 16 gigabyte DIMMs come in, a next generation of NVMe storage comes into play. All these things have to be you know, provided through additional updates to fine-tune and ensure performance. And like you said, even on our X79 solutions, the majority of them, I think, right now are close to about 30 UEFI releases that we've done since launch, with many of them as recent as of last month.
Yeah.
So that's a huge amount of work, and we're definitely going to continue to support these boards in that way.
All right.
So I think continuing on there, you know, we're both big fans of storage.
Yes.
I think on this Deluxe, you're bang on. You've got just about every type of storage you could want. Now, one thing that's really cool is if you look at the board, it's an ATX spec-based board in terms of the size. So we've packed a huge amount on there, but while still really giving you the best flexibility of putting this in just about every chassis. So at the top here, you've got a x4 M.2 base solution. So you're good to go there for those highest speed single SSD solutions that are currently on the market, as well as, of course, are coming out on the market.
And you guys made that vertical there, so it's just going to stick out there.
Well, the nice thing is it doesn't also impact. What you're going to see on some other board vendors is they've laid it down horizontally, which isn't necessarily a bad design, but it will impact to a degree the number of PCI slots you have available. So we really wanted to try to find that best balance of giving you easy access to it, not impacting your PCI slot layout, and being able to kind of pull it in or out, even if you've got your GPUs or you've got your other expansion items already installed. So I think this is it's a good balance of working within the constraints of an ATX spec, because it was very complicated to lay it out, but still give you pretty much overall maximum flexibility and expansion.
If I'm a custom water cooler and I want to install an M.2 drive a couple months from now, that is a godsend having it right here rather than having to pull out a video card.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I can just drop it in there. So moving down below there, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so a total of 12 serial ATA ports here on the board. Now, of course, these are all SATA 6G, but as we move down here, these are also SATA 6G. So these 4, in terms of SATA 6G, though, if we were to use them in their fastest form of connection, are going to be, of course, SATA Express. So just like M.2, we get that faster support for the native PCI Express, NVMe-based storage devices. So either or, you can use them 4 ports as normal SATA, or you have 2 SATA Express-based connections, and you're good to go. And of course, the board also has got tons of normal just PCIe expansion, so as we're seeing more PCIe SSDs come to the market as well, the board's entirely ready with that. And that's also part of the X79 chipset. The option ROM, or the RST driver validation, now officially supports PCIe SSD-based solutions as boot devices. So you're going to have overall better interoperability and compatibility from that, outside even the work that we've done to enhance that in itself. So storage, you're pretty much packed to the gills. And down here, while this is not a primary internal form of storage and kind of aligns a little bit more with back I/O, the board does fully support Thunderbolt. So you can just pick up our Thunderbolt EX2 expansion card, drop it in there, and bam, you've got ultra high-speed Thunderbolt connectivity. And that's a nice plus, because I know people on the X79 platform were hoping to see that be able to be implemented, but there were some chipset requirements. But on this platform, we've gone ahead and implemented that in. So on this Deluxe, as well as the other boards, have that. Now, moving beyond that, for me, I'm a huge fan guy. So I love our fan controls, and we've done some really cool stuff for this generation. So pretty much just like Z97, every single header on here, you've got 6 of them, all support full 3-pin, so DC, and 4-pin PWM fan control. This isn't just the fact of that you can just plug the fan in there and it controls it. We have the ability to actually control the output signal. So that means on every single header, uniquely, you can either set it as DC or PWM to give you the best granularity and control. If you also do PWM, that means that you can buy like a PWM splitter cable, put it on there, and output the control signal, essentially exponentially increasing the number of headers that you have on there. So for chassis that need a huge amount of fan configurations, especially for water coolers, that's a big plus. We also brought in temperature input mapping. So that means that, let's say, chassis fan header here, instead of always being controlled by the CPU, we can have it be controlled by the VRM temperature. We can have it be controlled by the motherboard temperature, by the PCH temperature. There's even an optional temp sensor down there at the bottom. This is a little optional temp sensor. You can plug it in there, and you can put that wherever you want. Put it on top of your graphics card, put it on top of your hard drive, put it just connected in your chassis, but that's an input source. So any one of those headers, you can go and have that. And that's, of course, in addition to just our general Fan Expert 3 calibration, which will automatically profile every fan from its minimum and its maximum. So that's already going to be the absolute best fan controls that exist out there on the market.
I can imagine taking that optional temperature read point there. If I have a stack of hard drives in RAID and a separate little compartment in the case, putting it over there and making sure that when it gets up to a certain temperature,
exactly when it's ramping up. That's really great too for content creators, because sometimes you might not be doing that much CPU work, but you could be transferring tons of content, doing stuff on your hard drive array. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to push the envelope further.
But wait, there's more.
We designed and developed this new little fan hub extension system. So the reason why you don't generally see more than even 6 fan headers on a motherboard is because there's what's called Super I/O controller that has a limit to the number of input sources and output sources that can be fed on there. And so we had to actually develop a special system where there's another I/O controller here and then a link mechanism to be able to talk to it. But what this does is this will plug into a little header that's down here at the board. And this essentially gives you 3 more additional headers. So you can now have 9 headers, and these all support the same exact control that's available to you here, and it's transparent. So whether you're in the UEFI or the operating system, you can do fan calibration, DC, PWM, the temperature input mapping, and vice versa. And even for the temperature input mapping, we added 1, 2, 3 more temperature input sources.
Nice.
So you can run those additionally anywhere else you want. And the great thing is that these are fully mappable to even the onboard headers. So vice versa, I mean, just the level of granularity and control here you have is just unprecedented. So this is a really awesome item that, while it will be supported on multiple of our boards like the Pro and the 8, it comes included in the box with the Deluxe.
Very nice. So not necessarily just a glorified splitter or anything like that, but actually gives you the individual control over each
But you
header.
can actually use it as a splitter. There is an input on here, so that if you just wanted to feed that onto a header, and then you wanted to then have those 3 other fans that are connected served essentially the same control signal as that header, then you can do that. So this is as simple as something like a very fancy splitter, but as complex as a true extension fan system.
Nice.
So very, very cool there.
I like that flexibility.
On top of that, of course, you can see that you got tons of PCIe expansion. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 physical by 16, and then you've got the by 4. So the board's optimally suited for 2-way and 3-way configurations. For a lot of you guys that don't read the manual, a really nice plus is you've got a switchable LED light here on this board.
I like that.
So that if you go ahead and flip it into 2x or 3x operation, it'll actually light up an actual LED on the board that lets you know, hey, these are the right slots to use.
Use these slots for, I like that.
So we've got 4 sets of just toggle switches here for easy adjustment. One for, like I said, the lights, another one for the TPU one-touch overclocking, another one for the EPU, which will allow you to keep stock performance, but just provide less voltage to reduce the thermals and improve power consumption, and then single-touch XMP. So for you guys that maybe want to run stock, but at least enable the XMP profile that's on your memory, like these Corsair DIMMs here, you can go ahead and just do that simply.
Nice.
From there, we still maintain our full isolated audio design that, of course, you guys have known about for some time that we have on the board. So you got all the nice audio caps, the niche audio caps. You got the operational amplifier. That's all the same like in previous generations. Plus, we still keep our optimized DTS profiles for like in-ear monitors or over-the-ear headphones or even desktop speakers, so that when you plug that in, you just select a specific profile, and we have it tuned for those devices. And that works not only for the headphone, but even for the line out. And I think speaking of line out, we can take a look at the I/O. I think the I/O is pretty stacked here. A lot of people are going to be interested in that. So you've got a ton of connectivity here. So you can see we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 USB 3 ports on the back. Plus there's 2 internal USB 3 headers on the motherboard. So that gives you a total of 14 USB 3.
And a couple USB 2s.
Yeah. So
not to leave those out.
Yes. So you're packed to the gills there. You've got dual Intel Gigabit Ethernet ports on here. And then from there, we still maintain 2 legacy USB 2 ports. And the reason why is because that's still optimal for some devices. While USB 3 is a backwards compatible spec, some devices sometimes will best prefer to initialize on a USB 2 based controller. So we still give you 2 of those guys.
Good to still have those around.
We've got the USB BIOS flashback, so no CPU, no memory, no graphics card. If you need to be able to update and recover the actual chip on the board, which is non-soldered, then you can go ahead and do that. For you guys that need to quick charge, of course, your smartphones and tablets, you got the USB 3 Charger Plus USB 3 Boost there to improve your storage performance for different flash devices. Wi-Fi, this is the world's first 3x3 802.11 AC.
Those are 3 antenna connection points there.
So this is pretty beastly. I mean, in my testing, I've been able to easily exceed 550 megabits of throughput at this, even at fairly reasonable ranges. Even at distances of I'd say about 100 feet, you could still be looking to have 2 to 2.5, maybe even 3 times greater throughput than a 10100 Ethernet connection. Wow. So this is legitimately an option to be able to maintain.
So if you don't have gigabit Ethernet, that's faster, like by a good.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not running gigabit Ethernet in your home and you previously only were running, just 10100 cable in your home, then this is an awesome solution. And you still also get Bluetooth, so you still get that ability to pair with headsets and speakers and stuff like that.
Okay.
And when we drop down from there, we of course got our multi-channel audio with gold-plated connections to minimize oxidation, and an optical output which also supports DTS Ultra Tube PC for DTS Connect should you want to re-encode multi-channel audio. Now, last point on the networking side, of course, we still keep our TurboLAN software, which is a really nice plus. So if you want to do packet and priority control to get better gaming performance or better downloading performance, better downloading, whatever it might be, that's mappable for any one of these network controllers. So the physical NIC or the wireless or even an add-on card. Unlike some other solutions out there where they might have just a designated physical NIC that is the only one that gives you that, our software can be mapped to any active network controller.
Very nice.
So that shows you, I think, when you take a look at the overall kind of connectivity on the board, you really don't have almost any connection that you wouldn't want to have on this board in terms of the overall connectivity. And the software software suite, like we talked about with the 5-way optimization technology, I think just puts the board into a whole nother class. So it is truly, I think, a deluxe in about every respect.
And you guys kick in some other extras with the software set, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so in the software, you're still going to get a lot of other functions too. So you're going to, of course, have advanced monitoring. You've got the push notice notification. You guys can definitely go back and check out some of the other videos we did for Z97, where we have like the ability to send you remote notification on things like your temperatures, your fans, your voltages. We have still the NFC Express breakout box support. You know, there's a massive range of functionality. Literally, you know, so much that we can't really even digest it all within this one sitting here and put it out to you guys in terms of the overview. But definitely, if you guys are looking for more information, you can check that out on, you know, the previous videos that we did for Z97, or check out our PC DIY website, and we cover a lot of those specific functions. It's just in itself, the software is almost as extensive as just the hardware, because there's items that tie into almost each aspect of the usability, whether it's on the NIC, you know, the UEFI, you know, the sound software, or any number of other aspects on the board's design.
And for everything we've shared with you today, I guarantee as soon as we finish filming, JJ is going to list off 4 or 5 other things that he wanted to say that he wasn't able to. So trust me, there's even more going on here than you would expect. So enthusiasts rejoice. All of this with X99, with the new Haswell Ease processors, all in a standard ATX form factor motherboard that looks incredible as well. So JJ, great job by you as well as the rest of the team over at ASUS on this motherboard.
Thank you so much, and I definitely want to hear your guys' feedback on the new design aesthetic. We worked really hard on this, and hopefully it aligns with what a lot of you guys have asked for in the community. So I'd love to see your guys' comments to what you think about the new design aesthetic, as well as the features and functions. You know, I love to come back to the site a month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months afterwards and continue to see new owners' experiences as we incorporated these functions, and kind of what your experience is like, because not every one of us is like myself or like you that get to see a new platform and new features every generation. Some of you guys could be coming over from, you know, a platform 3 or 4 years ago, so it's really nice to see the experience that users have. And I think for anybody that's making an investment in this platform, especially with this type of board, it's something that you're going to be really happy with for a long period of time.
All right, so you guys heard JJ. Leave his comments in the comment section down below. Let us know what you think of this board. Bear in mind, if you're not sold on this one, we also got the Workstation series from ASUS. We've also got the ROG series from ASUS. So those are very exciting as well. I've heard we might even have a Tough series motherboard at some point.
Yes.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but that's in the future. So guys, let us know your feedback. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Give us a like while you're down there as well. Stay tuned for more content on the X99 launch from Newegg TV. We'll see you all very soon.